growing up in the 80s as a white kid in California, I always felt there was a certain level of tension between blacks and whites when I would walk, in terms of people I didn't know. When I go and I see, black people, we look at each other, there's a little bit of tension here and there. And it's like, you've always sort of felt it. And I just assumed that this is just how humans worked. If you look different, you're going to mistrust each other and so forth. When I went to Africa, when I went to Senegal, which was actually one of the centers of the slave trade, to the point where we went to the island of Garo, where it was like the main distribution point for slavery on the west coast of Africa. And I'd walk around, and I was living with an African family, and I would go around into the town, deal with other people. You saw this very different level of just interaction. People would just be friendly with you. There was no animosity. There was no apprehension. It was just, okay, two humans seeing each other. They would say hi. And it's like, I'm like, what? And it took me a second to go, what's different? What's different? Like, I'm not quite getting it. Then I'm like, oh, these people are from Africa. They're home. They're not, they don't look at me as a potential threat or like, what I mean? Like, there's no history of slavery in this place, like of that level. Like, I mean, slaves were taken out of that country, but what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's a history of slavery around the entire world, like slavery
right,
exists
but
in
not,
Africa.
not like it was in America.
Not racial.
Yeah.
And I can't even say that because I'm not sure of the French influence and how they treated the Senegalese.
Right, yes, to say Senegalese, it was a French colony,
right.
But what I'm saying is, I saw a very big difference, and it suddenly dawned on me that I am not in America anymore, and America has this history of bullshit that is so ingrained into the culture that you don't even realize is there.
You saw people who were first-class citizens in their own country.
Exactly.
And
that's a perfect way of saying it.
And not only first-class citizens then, but like historically speaking. You saw people who are in touch with their history and know who the leaders have been. They've always seen black leaders. They've always seen black people in government. They've always seen successful black people, and they've seen these images. And it's definitely a different experience. And I'm sure, when I speak to my African friends about that, they definitely have a different mentality. It's it's important to have those visuals and to have that understanding. Like, I don't think people understand like the lasting effects of slavery and Jim Crow and that kind of oppression on the psyche of people.
100%.
Like this is, and the opposite. Like when you're coming from a country where you are in control, or you at least feel more in control of your destiny, and you feel like things are attainable because you see people like you in these positions of power. My concern right now because I think there is a big movement, I think there's a big kind of victim movement in America where like people make not a lot of money, but people profit off of pointing out how horribly racist the world is. And don't get me wrong, it is. But there's not enough balance. Like I was even talking about this on your show. Like I want more balance on Vlad. Like we see, the people shooting, we see the beefs on that kind of shit. I want to see the black CEOs. I want to see the other side of the culture. I want to see the success of the culture here. And I think that you would get a lot more leeway if you position yourself and you sat down with that black kid that got into every single Ivy League school.
Right.
And I want to have a talk with him, have a talk with him, about his life. And I think you would get a lot more equity and like trust within people if you did that. But I guess the point I'm saying is like people are out here pointing out racism and they're getting a lot of credit, they're getting a lot of pats on the back, et cetera, about it. My concern is we have a generation of young black kids and white kids that all they know is black excellence. They only know a black president. They only know black billionaires. They only know blacks in success, obviously in sports, but entertainment, but not just in front of the screen, owning their own movie studios.
Yeah.
All they know is black excellence. And then they're picking up these papers and they're looking at their Twitter feed every single day, and there are people convincing them that they can't do these things that they're seeing, or that it's not possible, or it's going to be way harder, and all these kind of things. And my concern is that you, on some level, you might demoralize them. Now, do we need to point these things out? Absolutely. Justice is important. You need justice, but we need balance. Just as how I want you to have balance on here, I want these people pointing out these issues. Like would it hurt Sean King to tweet about something successful that black people did? Something great black people did? Would it hurt him to talk about to celebrate some of the beautiful things that are happening, so that these kids that look up to him can say, "Oh shit, I can achieve whatever I want."
Right, I mean, but those things are already celebrated. You know, Obama is celebrated, LeBron is celebrated. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that I don't think that they're celebrated as much as I don't think the celebrations get as much focus. Put it this way: a person fighting on the street gets way more attention than a person helping a blind guy cross it.
well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's
The
on World
drama,
Star pointing out the dude walking the blind person across the street. Look what a great guy that was. Man, that guy was so fucking blind, and this guy helped him left after right. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I feel
but if there's a
you. I
fight,
feel you on
he's
that.
hooked off on him. Oh my God, it's amazing. And at the end
humans,
of the day,
humans are drawn to violence. Period.
that's not, see that? We're drawn to violence, yes.
Yes,
But you know what
they're
we're drawn
drawn
to
to
more?
violence.
You know what we're drawn to more? Inspiration. Joel Osteen makes more money than any of these motherfuckers that got beef and fight each other.
Joel makes more than Mayweather?
Tons.
Really?
Tony Robbins?
Let's look it up.
Tony Robbins?
Hold on.
Tony Robbins makes more than Mayweather. And first of all, why are you picking Mayweather? Mayweather is somebody who is a professional athlete
Well,
that
you're
fights
saying
within
people
the ring.
who punch each other.
No, I'm talking about beef. I'm talking street beef. Funny.
Okay,
No,
not
I've
street
never
beef.
seen Mayweather in a fight. The only person he did fight with was T.I.
T.I.
He didn't even start that shit. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather is a very professional individual.
Yes.
My point is, what we crave. I mean, look
No,
at
right,
religion.
yeah. And people who actually get into street fights are not that successful.
My point, look at what humans are really drawn to. Like Islam has 1.5 billion people. We're drawn to inspiration.
Yeah.
Something that makes us feel good. At the end of the day, we're afraid of violence. We're afraid of all the negativity. But if you give us something beautiful,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying, that inspires us, we will follow that shit to a T. Christianity, Judaism, Buddha, like these things are what really influences us. The quick money is the beef. The long money, what Tony Robbins does, travel around the world making people feel better about themselves and shit. That's the long money, yo.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel. I'm not very impressed with Tony Robbins. I'll
That's
be
up
honest.
to you. That's
Yeah,
totally fine.
and that's just my choice.
You know what I'm saying?
But
you know,
shout out to what he did.
You impressed with Jesus?
Yeah.
What you mean, yeah? You know, like I'm not even religious. But
I'm
it's
not,
like clearly,
I'm not religious.
Clearly, this guy had an effect on people.
Well, even though everything that was written about him happened way after he died, with people that never actually knew him, but it is what it is.
The point is the message.
In fact, the whole Bible is like that, but whatever.
Oh,
I
well,
mean, every religious, not just the Bible, essentially every religious text was written by people that were not there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so is every historical book. We're still writing books about JFK now.
Right, but I'm saying
We're still making movies about Tupac.
No, but there's firsthand accounts, and there's video footage of things that are happening now. Like
There's no video about Abraham Lincoln, but we know what he did.
yeah, but there's people who actually knew him that was writing about it.
Yeah, because people are truthful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because everybody tells the truth, Vlad. You know what I mean? Like, because nobody exaggerates nothing.
Right, but what I'm saying is that in Jesus' time, all of his writings and all of his philosophies were written way after the death of all his disciples. And everything else like that.
But you're looking at.
You know, in fact, the whole Bible, like, you know, the whole Old Testament, like.
Have you read Old Testament?
I have.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that. That's good.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I'm reading this book right now called the Better Angels of Our Humanity and Why Violence is Decreasing.
Yeah.
Really
it's the
dope
best
book.
time to live in history.
Yeah. It's the less, you know, it's the least violent time in all of human history. You see what I'm saying?
And you would think it's the worst.
Yeah, because like if you look at the Bible,
we focus on the negative.
like, you know, and all the shit that the Bible talks about,
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But that's why people hate. I'm someone who's raised with no religion, but people hate on religion all the fucking time about it. We don't get here without religion. This is a country based on Judeo-Christian values. Like we people like morality is innate. No, it's not. Morality.
I think it is.
Then why we need religion?
I think people are becoming less religious. I think that
Let's go back. Let's go back.
No.
Let's unpack it.
Okay,
Unpack it. Right? If morality is innate,
yes,
right, and you're talking to somebody who was raised with no religion whatsoever.
Yes.
Both my parents atheists, right? So if morality is innate, why do we need religion? Why did it pop up, and why was it so successful?
because there was a lot of answers that people had. There was a lot of questions that people needed answers for, and there was no science to explain that back in the day.
No, people always talking about science. People want to survive. Everything in those books helped you survive at that time. Like, people want to talk shit about the Bible and say, oh my God, it's so homophobic, this and that, the other. Like, yes, in Leviticus it says dudes shouldn't sleep with dudes, right? But that shit was written before toilet paper. It's not about, I hate gay people. It's like...
Sodom and Gomorrah. God destroyed an entire city of people because it was filled with homosexuals.
No, you didn't read it.
I didn't read it.
You didn't read it, yo. That's not what it's about at all.
An angel showed up and a bunch of people showed up and said, we want to have sex with your male angel.
No, they didn't say, we said, we want your male angels, give us your male angels to kill him.
So we can have sex with them?
No, he said.
There was no sex?
Can I tell you what the fuck happened if you really want to know what the fuck happened? I hate when motherfuckers say they read the Bible and they haven't. That shit pissed me off because I'm not even religious and I read it to talk about it.
Okay.
So you look up the story because you can look it up. So what happens is they have, I forget which one of the guys was, but they had some angels. They're hiding out in a house and the people of Sodom and Gomorrah basically come up and they say, hey, we want the angels. Give us the fucking angels. Stop. I think you're believing in like false prophets or whatever like that. Give up angels. The dude says this is the funniest part of the story that's forgotten. The dude goes, I can't give you my angels, but I'll give you my wife. No, sorry, I'll give you my daughters. We'll give you my daughters. You can have the daughters and don't do it. He goes, if you don't do it, we're going to rape you guys.
Before bedtime, men, both young and old, and from every part of Sodom, surrounded Lot's house.
Lot, that's right, yeah.
They called to Lot, where are the two men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so we can have sexual relations with them.
It's not exactly how it was written, but the point is what they wanted.
Genesis 19.
Sure. The way that this has been misconstrued.
I'm sorry, I got you on this one.
No,
I'm
you
sorry.
don't. Because
you know.
If you really understand Genesis, the way this was written is they don't.
Lot went outside to them, closing the door behind them. He said, no, my brothers, do not do this evil thing. Look, I have two daughters.
Like I just
said.
said.
I slept with a man. I will give them to you, and you may do anything you want with them. But please don't do anything to these men.
First of all, how fucked up is that? Hey,
pretty fucked
don't
up.
rape my dude. Fuck my daughter.
Yeah.
That's the worst trade-off in history. If it's between my daughter and some dude, I'm like, yo, you need your butt stretched. I'm not giving you my daughter.
Move out the way, then they said to each other. This man Lot came out of the city as a stranger. Now he wants to tell us what to do. We will do worse things to you than to them. They started pushing him back and were ready to break the door.
Exactly. So what you need to understand is
so they could have butt sex with these two angels.
And why do they want to do that? Why do they want to rape the angels?
I don't know. But you told me
not because you said because everybody was gay and butt fucking. No, they want to punish them. They eventually want to kill the angels, right? They want to punish these angels. It's not like everybody's there. If they're gay, why don't they fuck Lot?
I guess he wasn't attractive as these two angels.
Bullshit. You want angel ass?
These are probably
some sexy ass angel ass?
Gay angels to them.
That's my point is people believe what they want to believe about this shit. Like people, that's the thing with religion, man. Is everybody's got all these opinions they don't even bother reading. It's like if you're going to read the book,
I just read it to you and you're telling me it's bullshit.
You still not understanding what you read.
Really?
You still not understand the context of what you read.
Where are these two men who came to me tonight? Bring them out so we could have sex with them.
All right, let me ask you a question. And you know this happens throughout history when one warring gang leader, one warring tribe leader, or something like that. What they do is they use rape against a man as a form of emasculating them.
100% punishment.
So you don't think that's possible in biblical times that also happened?
Yeah.
So maybe they want to punish these angels for being false prophets. They want to prove to these angels, hey, y'all ain't shit. We got the right thing going. Fuck you guys.
We're going to butt fuck you.
We're going to butt fuck you into not being angels. You're going to be some filthy, wide-assed angels. See what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand the context.
Fucked up on so many levels right now.
If you enter this book going, they are homophobic, then you will find that in it. If you enter this book with an open mind, you'll understand the context of these things. The same goes with every religion, man. We can go, people try to nitpick on different religions and talk about how shitty these certain things are. Don't get me wrong. There are shitty things in religion, right? This is the thing about atheism I'm trying to say. You're an atheist, I assume.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Do you believe in the golden rule?
Which is?
Treat others how you like to be treated?
Yes.
Do you believe in not killing people?
Depends.
I mean, if they do no harm to you.
No, I don't believe in killing people.
Do you believe in not trying to fuck somebody's wife?
Yes, I believe in that.
Do you believe in not stealing?
Yes, I believe in it.
You really Christian, dog.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like all I'm saying is...
No. But here's the thing.
Let me just make my point. Make my point is atheism right now, right? All atheism is right now is Christianity without the magic. Like, you don't believe in the burning bush or the turning water to wine or walking on fucking water, but you believe in all the values that religion has given you. So my point is, you can't, when I hear atheists, even like myself as someone who's probably atheist, I don't know exactly what my thing about God is, but my point is, you can't criticize religion because you don't have atheism without religion. Atheism is the newest iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you saw someone with a flip phone right now, you'd be, what the fuck is wrong with you? They got way better.
You're talking about religion, you're talking about values. And here's the thing. Let me just
we get these values from religion.
There's a really dope book that I read called Influence. Mm-hmm. And
I know the book. It's by, is it? Cialdini.
I think so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What's that? Something Cialdini, but it's spelled Cialdini.
Talking about the same book.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about human society as a whole, right? Let's just take religion out of the equation, right? Let's take out a supreme being. Let's take out any sort of supernatural activities. Let's just talk about human society.
Sure.
Right? There is, in order for societies to function, there has to be a sense of morality between the citizens of the society in order for them to function. So, for example, in any society, there is a sense of, if you do for somebody, they have to do for you as well.
It's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
It is true. And if you look at any society, someone who is considered like, someone who steals or somebody who doesn't pay their debt, or so forth, is generally considered an outcast of that society. Is ostracized from society because a society cannot function when, things are not going back and forth. The whole society breaks down. If a society is built on people stealing from each other, the society will eventually crumble and fall into chaos.
Sure.
Any society, whether it's a so-called primitive society or a so-called advanced society. Now, do religions co-opt some of these ideas? Absolutely. But do these ideas, are they still vital even if there's no religion? Yes. And this is what I'm saying. Lying and so forth, like there are some basic human principles that have to exist when you're dealing with other humans.
But they don't.
They do.
No, they don't. You're talking about full-bellied morality. That's very different.
Full-bellied? I don't even know what that is.
Full-bellied morality means you got food in your stomach.
Okay.
Everybody can follow the rules when you got food in your stomach. Right? That's easy. I cannot kill people when I got food in my stomach. I cannot steal when I got food in my stomach. You see the first scene in Aladdin? The motherfucker steals bread and they're trying to cut him up and shit like that. He's hungry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you're hungry, morality goes out the window. So don't tell me it's innate.
Everything goes out the window. Religion goes out the window.
No.
Yes.
If you look at, and this is why religion is very interesting. If you look at poor countries which are incredibly religious, and this is what essentially happened when religion came up. There's a reason the Middle East got religion first, and I mean religion meaning Judaism, the Christianity, and then Islam. It's because it needed it. Motherfuckers were wild out there. You know how wild you got to be to write in a book, "Don't fuck animals"? Think about that. That means someone was fucking animals, yo. Like, you know how wild you got to be to write, "Don't fuck your sister"? You got to be fucking your sister. Like, shit was wild back then. Think about it. They wrote that in a book. You don't write laws that aren't necessary. When you got the parking law, it just says, don't park here 9 to 6. It doesn't say, don't put half the car on the curb and run over somebody and smash their head in. It just says, because nobody does that. You see what I'm saying? We need, as humans, needed those rules.
Right. Because
we were such fucking savages back then. Apparently in like Asia and shit, they weren't that crazy. It was just like, yo, chill, meditate. You know what I mean? Like, try not to think of shit.
You put hundreds or thousands or millions of people in the same area, there has to be a set of rules.
There weren't millions of people.
To allow...
Talking about tribes of like a couple hundred.
Hundreds. Yeah, you throw hundreds of people in the mix. You throw 2 people in the mix. Mm-hmm. There has to be a set of rules where these 2 people could continue to live their lives and continue to function with each other. If there aren't any set of rules and you think it's cool to kill someone if they annoy you, or you think it's cool to steal whatever you want, or you think it's cool to lie to people, or you think it's cool to borrow something from someone and not give it back, eventually this will lead to death. Early death.
Or incredible success.
Well, the person who's doing it, but the other person will ultimately
Look
end
at
up
the titans of business in America. Most of these people have done all those things you just said.
Exactly. And they had to make rules because they realized that at this rate, all of society is being detrimented.
Sure. Well,
Right. Yes, when the robber barons and the little kids that they had working in their factories,
Sure.
they ultimately realized that they let these guys keep doing their thing and keep having monopolies and not have labor laws and all this other type of shit. Eventually, all of society will start to crumble.
so
we
you're
have to start.
making my point for me.
But that had nothing to do with religion.
Yeah, it does. We're pieces of fucking shit, and we need rules to make us not be pieces of shit.
Where does God come in?
Because God,
Because every religion is based on God, right?
exactly, because at the time life wasn't good enough. Right now we're in heaven. This is heaven.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we want to enjoy this, right? So we don't need the reward of heaven. That's what the beauty of atheism. Atheism doesn't exist in fucking countries like Haiti where everybody's starving to death making cookies out of dirt. They need God. And you're kind of a dickhead to tell some motherfucker who's been starving his whole life there ain't no heaven. You're not going to ever hear me tell a dude that starved their entire life and the one thing that gets them up every day is, when I die, I'm going to go to heaven. You think I'm going to take that away from them? How could you, on some condescending shit, how could you believe in heaven, John Paul? Heaven's such a dumb idea. That's all John Paul got is heaven. You know what I'm saying? So some people need that to get through the day. You're just making my point about it. We're pieces of shit, right? You just said the thing about like the robber barons for making kids make their clothes. Who do you think makes your clothes? Kids. We just went to another country where they don't got the same morality as us. We just send the clothes to fucking Asia. So that's how pieces of shit humans are. We say in America you can't make kids make clothes, and Adidas goes, maybe I could make them in Asia and send them on a boat to America. We're pieces of shit, and we need rules to make us good. We're a little less pieces of shit in America because life is so good, but go to a place where life ain't that good, you better have religion.
I'll agree to disagree.
You better have religion. You better have something. You better have something hold you together. Strong core values or fear of the government. There might not be religion in North Korea, but you're afraid of going to that fucking camp for 16 years
Right, there you
picking
go. North
cucumbers.
Korea. No religion.
Yeah, because they got the government on your asshole. And they will put you in a camp and your daddy in a camp and your mommy. 3 generations if you break the law.
And your kids and your grandpa and whatever else. Yeah.
That's religion for them.
There we go.
Why? Because humans are pieces of shit.
Yep.
We need these things. We need to reinstill the morality, man.
Agree to disagree.
What are you disagreeing with? You agreeing with me.
No, I just feel you need to have rules, not religion.
What do you think religion is? It's rules.
Well, yeah, with a supernatural being to go along with it.
Because at the time, you can't just walk up to people who never had rules at all and just say, hey, these are the rules. Because they're going to go, well, why are they the rules? You got to realize, we can have these rules now because we got guns. There was no guns back then.
There's been guns for a while. There's been guns for hundreds of years.
Fam, we're talking about 5,000 years ago.
Okay. 5,000 years ago, you needed religion. I'll give you that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, now you don't need it because it's like, for example, like, everybody in the South is nice, right? Because everybody in the South got guns. You're not nicer. It's just you could get killed.
Right. You're just more scared, I guess.
When I'm in the South, I go after you. You know what I'm saying? I don't push by a motherfucker because he got 45 on him. In New York, I push by your ass because what's the most you can do? Throw a Metro card at me? You know what I mean? The fuck? We might swing a couple hands, but I'm going to live. That's all I'm saying is you needed a motivator back then. Because think about back then. There's no guns. If you're taller and bigger and stronger than me,
Yeah.
I can't tell you what to do.
Well, that was the point of that book that I was telling you about, was that whenever they found an ancient human, when I say ancient, I mean like thousands of years, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 years old, almost every human they found either died from violence or had all types of violence inflicted upon them. Like broken bones, like arrows stuck in them, like that type of thing. Most people back then were always getting violent acts committed towards them.
We are animals. We're savages. Dude, slavery has been present since the beginning of time with humans. It's the worst thing in the world to subjugate another human to slavery. Think about that, right? Outside of murder and rape, probably the worst thing you could possibly do, and both those things happen within slavery. This existed in every culture in history. It's in the Bible. We also got to acknowledge that after slavery, it's not like shit was peaches and cream.
No,
right?
it's still fucked up.
Incredible
segregation,
racism,
and then,
Jim Crow.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you had the whole nine.
So there's going to be ramifications of that. Human beings need something. Right now, atheism is just religion. It's all the same values of religion without the magic. It's just a better version of religion. Religion got a couple things wrong. Did it get homosexuality wrong? Absolutely. Right? Especially in the ways that it's interpreted. Of course, there are certain things in religion, certain punishments, right? Like if you go to Islam, like the punishment for leaving Islam, I think in certain hadiths is apostasy. The punishment for apostasy is death, right? Meaning if I don't want to be a Muslim anymore, I get killed. Yeah. That's not necessary anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
the timeline with the lack of dinosaurs and stuff like that is a little bit wrong too. And,
so you think they gave a fuck about dinosaurs and fought that? Like, they know what the fuck dinosaurs were back then. Like,
I remember there was a picture I saw which had like Jesus Christ and like a brontosaurus. He's like, shoo, get out of here.
So you know what's crazy though? If you read Genesis, it says in Genesis a year for. And I always say this about Genesis, because in Genesis, you know how everybody lives to like 400 years old? Yeah. Like Noah died at 400 years old, right? Yeah. And people are like, oh, this makes no sense. This book was written before math. There's no math back then. They don't know what a fucking year is. They don't have phones.
There was definitely math back then.
This is 5,000 years ago. They don't know what the fuck is going on. And it also says in the book.
They thought the earth was flat. Yeah, I mean.
They say in the book, a year for a god might be generations for a human. So when it says the world was created in 7 days, they're not saying 7 human days. They're saying 7 God days. Okay. This turned into religious class right here from an atheist.
We went all out on this.
All I'm saying is that it got value, and people shit on it like it doesn't have value. You know what it is? It's like shitting on like early rap, like the boom bap rap, and going, oh, this is corny. We don't have rap without those early guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Yes, right now it's more sophisticated, and the way that, Biggie rapped and the way that, certain guys rapped was definitely more maybe lyrically sophisticated, just like a new iPhone is more sophisticated than a beeper, but you need the beeper to get to the iPhone.
Right. Amber Rose.
Yes.
She had the infamous bottomless pick.
Yeah, but it wasn't really.
So me and one of my coworkers here, we got into a whole
pussy hair is underwear to me.
So she claimed that showing a bush was not genitalia.
It's not.
And technically it is not, because you need to see the pussy lips or whatever else for it to be genitalia.
She had her legs all crossed. Pussy's underneath. Pussy ain't like dick. Right. Pussy's like by your butt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
right there by your butt.
You can't show pussy straight on. You got to go underneath to get pussy. You ever try to fuck a girl standing up? Shit is damn near impossible.
You can do it.
From the back? Right. Because the pussy's so far back. You know what I mean? You try to fuck a girl standing up from the front, you look like an alien. So if you try to fuck a girl straight up, people look at you like, are you crazy, Vlad? Like, when did you land on Earth that you think dick can go into vagina straight up from the front? It's only from the back you can fuck straight up. And even that's a little tricky.
It is a little tricky, true. Number one, what'd you think of the photo?
Amber's an unbelievably beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I don't care if she got pussy hair or not. Pussy hair don't fucking bother me. I'm a grown-ass man.
Pussy hair
Let's
don't
be
bother
honest,
me.
okay? I don't like it when your pussy hair is around your lips because it just gets messy. And any girl who's like, oh, but you guys have pubic hair, will prove you could get to the pubic hair. If you giving me head, if you start coughing before the pubic hair, I don't want to hear any pubic hair comments, okay? But if your dick touches my pubic hair, I will gladly shave, wax, whatever the fuck you want. My point is, if you can deep throat, you can complain.
Pubic hair, what? I don't know if you said that right.
If her lips touch the pubic,
if your dick touched,
you know, I'd be out here with Caitlyn and shit. We're just fucking sword fighting. You know what I mean? Like, we call it a joust. You know what I mean? It's when you go dick to dick and see who hits first. My point is, no. What I'm trying to say is, when a girl's giving you a blowjob, she has every right to complain about your pubic hair if her mouth touches your pubic hair. But most girls can't get their mouth down your whole dick to the point where it's touching the pubic hair, so you don't gotta worry about my pubic hair yet, sweetheart. Right. Once you get to deep throat action, I'm gonna buy a shit Quattro or fucking Cinco, whatever you want, and I'm gonna shave it up. Lovely. Right. So you gotta earn that, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. When I'm eating pussy, I'm literally inside you.
Well, I mean, depending on where you put your tongue.
Where I'm gonna put my tongue.
You put the tongue into the pussy?
You
don't put it around the pussy?
You lick the clit and then you go inside. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm really the inside guy. I'm really more of a clit guy.
Vlad, eat the pussy, Vlad. Come on now.
I've eaten some pussies in my day. I've eaten a lot of pussies.
Nah, what you're doing is taking the sprinkles off the ice cream. You know what I mean? Like, man, get in there, bro. You're just eating the whipped cream off the sundae. You gotta take a bite of that shit, bro.
Whipped cream is the best part, though.
Yeah, nah, it ain't. This is gonna sound wild gay, but get some banana.
That is wild gay. Okay. So
that's white privilege right there. Gay jokes.
Gay jokes.
You know what I'm saying?
You can't
Like
do gay jokes if you're black.
Nah, you can, but then you just get rid of the pause, no homo, this and that. Like white boy fun is just making gay jokes, just like, and not gay jokes about gay people, but being like, yo, I bet he got a big dick. And your boy's like, yo, that's crazy. You would say that.
That's not the type of jokes I'd be doing.
Yeah, you hang out with too many black folks.
I have too many black friends, I guess. Yeah. You don't have enough white people.
You gotta hang out with some white boys, have some good white boy fun.
White
dick
boy
taps.
fun?
Yeah, just dick taps. That's a thing in white
No,
boy culture. You just tap someone's dick and laugh.
I've ever done a dick tap.
Oh, that's part of the culture, man.
I guess I'm not part of the culture,
Bro,
though.
yeah, don't start now. You'll be a vulture doing that. I want to find out you dick tapping like us white boys trying to steal our white boy culture.
I steal your dick taps.
You're going to start selling shirts, dick tap.
Yeah, no, I'm cool. I'm not going to be dick tapping. So everyone had a problem. Well, a lot of people had a problem with this.
I think they had a problem with it.
It got taken off of
Instagram.
Her Instagram.
But the problem wasn't the picture. The problem was that she masked it as feminism.
Meaning?
I just don't understand what's feminist about it. Like, is it everything feminist? What's not feminist? I guess I'm trying to figure out that. Like, what is not considered feminist?
I guess.
Because apparently right now, like, women wearing a burqa is feminist.
I mean, you know.
How is that feminist?
Women.
Men telling you have to dress a certain way is.
Yeah, that's anti-feminist.
That is the most anti-feminist thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Yeah.
I
just don't understand how.
Amber Rose. I mean, for example, like, what do you think about the whole, you know, her embracing the word slut, the slut walk, being called a slut, like she embraces the word.
What I don't understand is when have men hated sluts?
Sluts are considered. It's considered
Great.
derogatory.
Awesome. Amazing. What? Let me ask you this.
Let me put it like this.
Let me put it like this. Let's say your friend calls you. He's like, dude, there's this party, man. There's a lot of sluts here. Is your next reaction, well, I'll catch you tomorrow? No, you're like, where's the party? I need to go to that party that seems like a lot of fun with a lot of cool girls there. They're down to have sex with me because I want to have sex.
Right.
Right?
And if your friend comes over, let's just say, you know, you're in high school. Your friend comes over and says, wow, your mom is really pretty. She's a slut.
Well, it depends. My mom fucking a lot of... Is my mom taking pictures of her pussy and posting on Instagram?
Well, regardless of what she's doing, when your friend calls your mom a slut, do you consider like, yeah?
Or here's a better question. If my mom takes a picture of herself naked and puts it on Instagram, am I gonna be like, damn, you are a feminist? Or am I gonna be like, Mom, get your fucking pussy off Instagram. What the hell's going on here? That's the real conversation when you want to talk about it.
People want to talk about sluts when they, you know, objectify women as sex objects, but they don't want to have women that they truly care about be referred to as sluts.
First of all, when are we gonna stop objectifying women? I don't understand that.
People will always objectify women.
Like, yeah, it's human nature.
It's like, human nature. Like that's what I'm saying. But the term slut, I don't think should be a celebrated term.
So you don't like her owning the term?
It's not that I don't like it. I mean, you know, I'm cool with Amber. Like, you know.
First of all, Amber's cool as fuck.
Yeah. You know, I've interviewed Amber before. Like Amber is cool, and I'm all for what she's doing.
I also don't consider her a slut.
Well, I don't think she technically considers herself a slut. Because,
how many dudes you got to fuck to be a slut as a girl?
Yeah, well, you know, depending on who you're talking to. For some, it's you know, more than one, right?
No, I mean, look, every guy wants his girl to have low dick mileage,
body count,
whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it.
Right? Well, no guy wants it. No, we want you to be able to be good at sex, but we don't want you to fuck 1,000 guys to get there. You know what I'm saying? We probably want you to just fuck a couple, like a lot.
It's a really the whole thing's a dichotomy.
You know, it's like a doctor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need my doctor to have every degree. I just want you to have one degree in whatever the fuck you're fixing.
Well, I mean, think about it.
You know what I'm saying?
In old times, your wife or your girl should technically be a virgin.
Yeah, but that's a different thing.
Well, I mean, even to this day,
That's just you want to make sure the kid's yours. That's all that is.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Before they had DNA tests.
Exactly. It's
That's
always.
a good point. I never really, something that's an interesting point. Was the reason why I never thought about it.
Think about it. If her hymen is broke, and then you fuck her, and then she has a kid 6 months later, talking about, oh, it's premature. No, some dude dicked you down in a bush, and now I gotta take care of this motherfucker's kid.
And I can't prove it's not mine.
We don't got DNA. We got nothing. I'm just looking at his face and my face.
Yeah, everyone in town kind of looks the same.
Bro, they don't even got mirrors. I don't even know what I look like. How crazy! I gotta look at a fucking watering hole and then look at my baby's face and then my face. My face is covered with fucking hair because we didn't have shaving utensils back then. So I can't even look like my fucking kid. It is impossible to tell if your kid is yours back then when that idea came out unless they had a hymen.
I think you just nailed it. I think the whole concept of sluttiness came from a time when you needed to know that child was yours.
Of course, there's a saying.
I never thought about this before.
I
think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean that's what everything is logical within the context of time. That's what people don't get.
Everything is logical within the context of time.
You just have to judge shit through time. Like if you judge Abraham Lincoln based on now standards, you'd be like, yo, this guy's pretty racist. Why was he thinking about sending all the black people back to Africa? That's wild. But if you judge him within the context of 1860, you're like, this is the most progressive, open-minded individual in history. This is absolutely amazing. You just got to put time onto it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You can't judge people outside of context of time. That's actually not fair.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, back then there was no birth control. So it's like, hey, if a woman had sex with a whole bunch of dudes, she probably had a whole bunch of babies from a whole bunch of men. And, it was, the family structure was all crazy at that point, and people didn't know whose baby was whose.
Sure.
And, the whole thing just started, it kind of just destroyed the whole family structure.
Absolutely.
These days, you got abortions, you got birth control, you got DNA tests, you got condoms, you got vasectomies.
So you're saying women could be sluts now?
I'm saying women could be sluts now.
Now, here's the question is, will it give you joy to be a slut? That's the question.
Well, for the women, probably.
I don't know, man. Like
women,
I've been a slut,
women like to fuck.
Yeah, well,
men like to fuck.
Here's the thing: do women want to fuck? Ultimately, and again, we're generalizing for the purpose of being. We're generalizing on purpose here. Anybody can go, well, not every girl. Yeah, we get it. We're just trying to get what.
No, we're generalizing.
On purpose, because we're trying to say what do 80% of women want or 80% of men want, etc.
Humans like sex.
Absolutely. Now, do men like casual sex because casual sex is better for men than it is women?
Is it?
Undeniably so. We orgasm.
Women orgasm. And they orgasm more times.
Do they, Vlad?
Yeah.
You're lying. So
most women
Google the average amount of women that have orgasm in sex. 30%. 30% achieve orgasm during sex. That's in relationship and outside of relationship. I bet you outside of relationship it's even less. So these girls are adding bodies to their count with no reward outside of.
Okay, sex study says female orgasm eludes majority of women.
Eludes. Majority. Yeah, exactly.
Meaning that most women don't have it.
Exactly. So it's about 30%. So for me, I'm saying you're fucking all these dudes, you're not even coming. I think the way women are designed, I think we even spoke about this on a past Vlad. I think the design of a woman.
On a past Vlad.
Yeah, on a past Vlad. I think the design of a woman is for monogamy. They're designed for monogamy.
Well,
orgasming is easier when there's an emotional connection for them. So their vaginas are literally made to sustain relationship sex. Our dicks are literally made to be hoes. I could put this folding chair in half and fuck the soft part of the seat and the back support, and I could come. I just spit on the seat, fuck that shit, and leave it here. That'll be your new decoration.
Right.
That could be easy.
Yeah, I mean, a man.
No girl is gonna do this interview and rub her pussy on this seat and then come.
Yeah, but they can get on the back of like a motorcycle and come.
If it's a nice motorcycle.
Yeah.
And that's because it's
Vibrating one.
expensive.
No, and here's the thing. A woman who has sex and the man comes inside her, there is a chance every time that she's going to be pregnant, which means that for 9 months...
Opportunity cost you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? For
Very
9
high.
months, she now goes through a pregnancy, and then she has a child, and ultimately women biologically are more prone to take care of a child than a man.
Absolutely.
So it's like you're talking about the whole thing, and this is why women look for men that ultimately will stay and protect the child. You know,
we spoke about this before.
Yeah, exactly.
It's opportunity cost of sex. The opportunity cost of sex for me is very low.
Right, and you know,
opportunity cost of sex for a woman is potential for a child.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be way more picky than I'm going to be, and it was designed that way because if a human's purpose is to spread its seed and have more humans, or any species' first purpose is to have more humans, the one inseminating should do as much as possible. You know, like when you look at when flowers or whatever spray pollen, right? They don't go to one flower, dude. They just bust that shit wide open, right? They're trying to get as many different flowers to bloom as possible.
Right. In fact, I just interviewed this reggae artist named Conscience.
Fathers are being actual fathers now. Like they like take pride in being fathers to their kids as opposed to being seed throwers.
There was a singer named Sugar Minot that had 47 children.
That's some real primal shit right there, man.
47. Imagine getting the whole family in one room.
I would need to renovate, man. I need a different room for that. I couldn't even fit them in my apartment. That's
seed
crazy.
throwers.
Seed throwers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's, you know. Well, so that's, I guess, what the real discussion has to come down to is, will being a quote-unquote slut actually lead to more happiness for women or less? And if it leads to less happiness for women, which I think science tends to prove, is should we promote that as a good thing? Now, if Amber's making the argument for a woman should be able to choose if she wants to do that or not, I completely support that.
Yeah.
It's America. You get to do whatever you want here. You have the freedom to do whatever you want with your pussy, and I support that. God knows I've slept with a lot of girls who've been promiscuous, so thank you. I'm not going to be the one telling you not to sleep with people. All I'm saying is I don't want women to think that they, and I don't think anybody's saying this, but they have to, you know, fuck everybody or be a slut in order to be a feminist.
Right. I mean, and I can tell you from my personal experience, most women that I have slept with multiple times enjoy sex. They orgasm multiple times, you know, and they enjoy sex.
Lies.
Hey, just
No,
is what it
just
is.
go.
You know, and they enjoy sex as much as I do, or sometimes even more.
Oh, when girls do orgasm, they enjoy it more.
Yeah.
They make sounds.
Yeah.
I'm not making sounds. I'm not fucking.
You
know what I mean?
I'm making sounds.
What are your sounds? What are you
I mean,
making?
manly sex sounds.
Like what? Say it.
I'm not gonna say it.
You're grunting?
Yeah.
You're doing some Russian shit?
I'm a grunter.
Da. Des vidanya.
I'm a
Des
grunter.
vidanya.
I've had women comment on my grunting.
Really?
I'm proud of that
They
shit.
love your grunts.
They love the grunt.
Pierogi. Kielbasa.
Hey man, I'm a primal fucker. You know what I'm saying? It's like take him back to caveman times. I'm proud of
So
that
you're
shit.
a real seed chucker when
That's
you're
right.
in there.
That's right. That's right. Bill Maher recently dropped the N-word.
Yes.
Called himself a house N-word.
Yes. What do you call himself?
House N-word.
House what?
N-word. Go ahead. Ask me 10 more times. Get the same answer.
Vlad is media trained.
That's right. Number one, when you saw that clip, what did you think?
I thought he was an idiot. There's one word you can't say.
Yeah.
You just don't say it. And we don't have to use logic to break down whether you can say it or not. I mean, if we want to use logic, some people could make the argument why it should be said and why we should defend freedom of speech and why we should do all these things. Like, you know, it's not about logic or not. It's just like, you know, sex for a woman. It's opportunity cost. What is the opportunity cost of sex for a woman, right? It's, I could possibly have a baby. I should be very picky about when I have this sex. Same thing with Bill Maher. The opportunity cost of using that word, or anybody else that's not black using that word on television, is very high. Very high. It's a word I don't use.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't use that word at all.
I don't use it either.
I don't quote lyrics.
Yeah.
I don't even my closest friends who I'm comfortable with that could care less if I said it or not, I never use it.
It's just, one, obviously, it could be whatever the word is, triggering for people, but also you have to look at selfishly and like know the effects it could have on your career. And I think that Bill,
More.
Bill Maher, but like I think Bill maybe got caught up in the moment. Maybe he got too comfortable. He's talking to his audience and he thought that they would support this, that, the other. I think what is interesting is this though, is I personally wouldn't say it. Nobody, I wouldn't say it. I understand a lot of people wouldn't say it. I just don't think it's smart to say. That being said, when HBO said that this is completely wrong, and I can't believe that they said it, it was an interesting strategy on their part because they're essentially drawing a line in the sand of who they're willing to offend and who they're not. Right now, HBO on Game of Thrones, one of my favorite shows, violent rapes several times a season. That could be very triggering for somebody watching. Just like now, you could say, well, this is scripted, this is a drama. Well, we could also say Bill Maher as well. This is a comedy show. It's not meant to offend. That being said, both of them could affect people. And by HBO saying this is wrong and the other thing isn't, they're drawing a line in the sand in what they're willing and not willing to defend.
They show siblings fucking each other on Game of Thrones. Like, you see some pretty nasty stuff.
Now, if it's consensual, it's consensual. If siblings want to consensually fuck, I think it's gross, but that's not as bad as rape. Come on, rape is worse than murder.
Well,
I can forgive somebody for murdering somebody. I ain't forgiving you for rape.
Yeah, but I mean, incest has, what happens when incest happens and you have a two-headed baby?
That's on you. It's your baby. Get your goofy-ass, related-ass baby away from me. I don't want to deal with that shit. Maybe my tax dollars could separate the baby heads, but I'm not going to babysit this fucking weird-ass dragon-headed baby. I don't want nothing to do with that. But that's your life. Like, if it's consensual to you...
Well, it's illegal. Incest is illegal.
So is sodomy in some states still.
Okay.
My point is...
But incest... Okay, anyways. But incest is
We're
illegal.
There's
a biological reason why incest is not allowed.
All right, so should people that have hereditary disorders not be able to have kids too because the kids are going to get it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you got a congenital heart disorder that's going to get passed down to your kids, should you not be allowed to have a kid?
Well, let me put it like this, okay? What they say is, in the future, not 20 years, not 100 years, 10,000 years in the future.
Everybody will fuck their sister.
No.
Oh.
They're saying that every child that will be born in the future will be done through in vitro, just because it is so much safer to create children through in vitro when you could see ahead of time, what the problems are, fix them ahead of time, separate out potential situations where a kid is going to be born and get cancer 3 years later.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That technology already exists.
It already exists, is what I'm saying. It's just not used. It's only really used by a very small percentage
You're
of people.
100% right.
Because it's somewhat frowned upon. But like in the future, they're saying that, human civilization, if it exists, 10,000, whatever years in the future, that if we want to keep creating healthy humans, this is a much better way to do it than to just fuck each other and hope for the best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I get my girl pregnant and the sonogram says, he's gonna have Down syndrome, I'm gonna hit the restart.
Exactly.
Blow the fucking cartridge a little, put that shit back in the Nintendo, and then try again. Exactly. And that's similar to what you're saying. That is like the rough version of it right now.
Exactly. Back to the whole N-word thing.
Yeah.
HBO made a line in the sand, but they also did nothing to him. He didn't get fired. Me personally, I thought he should have been fired.
Interesting. Why? What's your theory on that?
Because
you don't believe in second chances. Atheist. A Christian and
Bill Maher. Quite honestly, everything that I've seen about him, read about him, people that have dealt with him, and so forth, has always kind of struck me as a closet racist. You got to understand, this is a 65-year-old white man.
That only fucks black women?
He doesn't only fuck black women.
Yes, he only fucks black women.
He only fucks black women.
Yeah.
He's never fucked a white girl.
Well, look, I don't know who he's fucking, but he only dates black women. That's who he's into.
I mean,
that doesn't mean you can't be racist.
I know that he's, messed with Corinne, Superhead.
I saw him at the Comedy Store a couple months ago, and I was hitting on the girl that he was there with because I was so shocked that he was there with this like 20-year-old black chick.
Okay.
And I'm not even hitting on her, but I was just like talking to the girl.
I mean, you do know just because you're fucking a black girl does not make you a racist.
I just said that. I mean, there were slave owners that would fuck their slave. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
After the whole N-word thing happened, they asked like that Coco girl, who I guess his baby mama or whatever.
I don't know.
You know, it was like some porn chick that he was fucking.
Black girl?
Yeah, black girl. And when they asked if he was using the N-word, in personal conversations, she could neither confirm nor deny that, which essentially meant that she confirmed it.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Can you insinuate that?
Yeah, I can insinuate that.
Yeah, because.
But I don't know. I'm not going to put words in somebody's mouth.
No, but I'm saying, but if a person, okay, if I put it like this. If someone says, hey, when you and Andrew Schulz are hanging out by yourself, does he use the N-word? Does he drop the N-bomb all the time? I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Or you could deny it because I don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If I answered in that way, everyone would say, okay, Andrew's a fucking racist. Absolutely. He uses the N-word around his white friends.
Right.
I would say no, he never uses it. Of course. Right? Yeah. That's how you answer that question.
Absolutely. And yeah, I guess it's a weird thing to try to. Just because someone says that word doesn't mean that they're racist. Is what I'm trying to say. For example, if your job as a teacher in school is to read Huckleberry Finn, you will have to, as part of your job. I mean, this happened in my class. We were reading Huckleberry Finn, and the teacher was not black, and she read out loud the N-word that was used many times in this great Mark Twain novel. Obviously satire. She's not using it with malicious intent. So. There are many teachers who have to say the N-word for their work. You know what I mean? There are people who are talking about a bunch of different situations where they've said the N-word. Now, do I think that's what Bill Maher is doing? Maybe he used it, colloquially or talking about. There's been other clips where he said it a bunch of times. But do I deep down think that this man hates black people? No, I think quite the opposite. I think he's done a lot, at least on his show, to expose ignorance and expose racism. And so I just don't personally think that he's a racist. It's just, this situation opens up a lot of, I don't think he's a racist. Should he say the word? No. Just because you're not a racist doesn't mean you get to say the word.
I feel that.
You know what I mean? Just because you're not
is Bill Maher an outward racist? Feels that black people should all be killed and so forth? No. Do I feel that Bill Maher really has the same level of respect for all black people as he does for all white people? No, I don't think he does.
I can't say that about him.
I would say that, you know what I'm saying?
You never met him. I can't say that about him.
I never met him, but I've said this in some of my other interviews, which haven't come out yet, so you haven't seen them, but there was a documentary about racism where they just interviewed a whole bunch of people and they talk about racism. Bill Maher just happened to be in this documentary. And there was like this part where they said, yeah, and he was like, you have these movies and you have these these buddy cop flicks where you have like this white cop and a black cop, and and they kind of paint them as they're best friends, they grew up together, and stuff like this really happens. It's like, come on, like this doesn't really happen. Basically saying like, white kids and black kids aren't going to be best friends. It just doesn't happen. Because from his point of view, it probably has never happened. He's probably never really seen it.
Well, what were we just talking about context, right? He's talking about a 65-year-old black dude. Sorry, white guy. Yeah. Jewish dude. I mean, a lot of...
Is he Jewish?
I think so. Bill Maher. I think Maher's a Jewish name.
I think something... I looked it up.
I'm pretty sure. But... if we are going to talk about context, like maybe in his life and his existence, there weren't a lot of 65-year-old Jewish kids who were growing up with Jamaican kids.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility. I don't know. Do I think he has malicious intent towards black people? No. I really honestly don't feel that way. But again, I don't know him enough. Maybe if I knew him personally, he might have. You have to understand, I'm a stand-up comedian, right? So in my personal opinion, I defend jokes.
Yeah, so Bill Maher, I looked it up because I remember I looked this up recently. Yeah. He's from Hungary. Until his early teens, he was unaware that his mother was Jewish because he was actually raised in the Catholic Church.
But his mother's Jewish.
His mother's Jewish, but he found that out like later on.
Sure, but
so he was raised Catholic, but he's actually half Jewish.
Sure, well, he's Jewish if you
Jewish
come out
because
of the
the mother's
mother's
Jewish, yeah,
vagina,
exactly.
right? But
Right.
my point is, I'm a stand-up comedian, so I got to defend jokes. And when it comes to jokes, we have to be able to attempt humor, okay? Now, I know this might be, hard for some people to understand, but like comedians, in the same way, similar to like firemen, in that like it's not a fireman's job to save everybody in there; it's a fireman's job to try.
Yeah.
Right. So a comedian, it's not my job to make you laugh; it's my job to try. There's certain things in your life that's going to stop you from laughing at certain jokes I make. Certain things in your life that might make you laugh more at the jokes I make.
You and I have had conversations about certain things you said that I've had problems with.
Sure. So it's attempt, right? So it's the attempt for me. Right? It's always the attempt, and I defend the attempt because there's going to be times where I cross the line. Personally, that's not a line I cross. I just don't say that word. I was raised in a family not to say that word. You know what I mean? My dad took away my Snoop Dogg Doggy Style disc when I was a kid, or cassette, because it said the N word. You know what I mean? Like real shit in my family was very strict about.
I feel you.
So, but I defend the attempt. What I do find interesting is that Ice Cube came out to be the one to criticize him and give him a talking.
He brought him on the show.
Well, yeah, he brought him on the show, but he's always featured these people on the show, right? Like
he's always featured black people on the show.
Of course, and many different people, women of Republicans, everybody. He's been very open with the guests. Now, what's interesting about Ice Cube is that Ice Cube, when he was with NWA, and they were going through. It said, I think they made the statement about the president or something like that. Like there was some statement, not the president. I forget exactly. There was a lot of like salacious statements. Obviously, what they were making about shooting the police and these types of things like that. And they attracted a lot of attention and a lot of criticism. And one of the defenses was that this is their art, right? This is their entertainment, and what they're saying is part of their entertainment. You got to respect freedom of speech and the freedom of art and entertainment. And now all of a sudden, X amount of years after, Ice Cube is coming and giving a talking to about how you can't say certain things and you're not allowed to say these types of things. It's just very funny that he was the guy to do it. I would never have assumed Ice Cube would be the guy to give someone a talking to about
freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech in that way, because he was so defended.
Well,
on the basis of freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech and freedom of hate speech are slightly different.
Fuck the police isn't hate speech?
Fuck the police is hate speech to a certain degree. Yeah.
So he was using his art form.
Well, is fuck the police? I mean, you're talking about a profession. You're not talking about a race. Now, you're talking about hate speech. You're referring to something that someone can't change. A person can quit being a cop. They can't quit being black or Muslim or whatever else.
Dave Chappelle had a great joke about it. Yeah.
So I don't think fuck the police is hate speech.
I mean, you could hate a lot of things. You could quit.
Is fuck the carpenters like hate speech?
No,
that's kind of the same thing.
You can quit being Muslim.
Can you quit being Muslim?
Absolutely. It's called apostasy. We were just talking about you can quit being Christian, you can quit being Jewish, you can quit being whatever one of these things you absolutely want. And it's still hate speech to talk to them. Do you know what I mean? So I think hate speech is just anytime you're hating on somebody, you could say fuck the union people or something like that. I want to kill all the union people. And that's like, whoa, chill out. It's just part of the song. But we've had rappers, like if Eminem came out and was scolding Bill Maher after all the wild shit Eminem said, we'd be like, yeah, you didn't say the N-word, Eminem, but you have talked about...
He did say the N-word.
Say what?
Eminem did say the N-word.
Fair enough. But like outside of him saying the N-word, let's say he hadn't, outside of that, you said some wild shit talking about...
killing your baby mama and stuff like that.
You know what I'm saying? Like you talk about some wild shit. So it's like, we all have the things that we will and we won't say. Me personally, I just won't say it. That being said, the person that scolded him, I would have preferred somebody else who's been consistent along that line of thinking.
I feel you. I can see your point on that. I mean, because you got to understand, like, when you look at a Bill Maher and you look at a Donald Sterling, it's not a huge. They're born maybe 20 years apart.
Donald Sterling looks like he's 1,000 years old.
Donald Sterling was born in 34.
19?
No, 1834.
He was born in 1834. He looks like he's born in
1834. 1934. So he's, 80.
But that's another good point too, because Donald Sterling was dating minority women, and
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But and you talk to certain people, right? Like I think when I interviewed Corrupt, when I interviewed Corrupt, he was defending Donald Sterling. So you don't agree with what happened?
I don't agree at all. They took a good man down. So what? What, man, they took a good man down. He ain't did nothing to nobody, my nigga. He didn't do nothing to anybody.
I thought it was racist.
Yeah. I thought it was racist too, but my thing is that to him, he probably thought he wasn't racist because he comes from a different era where certain things to him, Donald Sterling probably felt he was progressive compared to some of the people he grew up with.
Sure.
You know, and Bill Maher probably thinks he's a progressive too because it's a different point of view. Our kids are going to be coming in and looking at life very differently
Sure,
than
contextually.
we are.
In Saudi Arabia, they don't think that they're sexist, you know what I mean? But in America, we do think that they are, right? We're just comparing cultures. The reality of the matter is that Donald Sterling lives in 2017 America.
Exactly.
So you gotta step your shit.
Yeah.
You gotta get the new iPhone. You gotta get the new not being racist.
You know, like for example, I interviewed the comedian Joe Coy.
Yeah.
Right, and we talked about how. But when you look at, for example, some of the content that Eddie Murphy did in Raw, I don't think you'd be able to do it these days. Like
You'd be over with.
all the faggot ass faggot.
Yeah.
And all this like the anti-gay stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which is interesting because Eddie ended up getting allegedly caught with a transvestite later on.
Yeah.
But but I'm saying like the stuff that he was saying now, there'd have to be like public apologies.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Oh, I didn't mean it that way, and there might be picket. You might lose some endorsement deals. So
you'll lose endorsement deals. You'll get fired from whatever job you have, and
In its entirety, no. He couldn't have done the gay stuff.
The faggot ass faggot.
Yeah, you just throwing that out.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, but that was the whole thing. Like all these.
He could have done
the way
Google. He could have done
no.
stuff.
I'm talking about in its entirety.
He couldn't have done
in its entirety.
Homophobic. Yeah.
He could not have done it without it being a big issue. Him apologizing, losing some endorsements, some movie deals, whatever else. But at the time, it was the funniest shit ever. No one made any issues about it.
It's the reason I'm a comedian today.
Yeah, it was, and to this day, it's still considered the greatest stand-up.
That was my dad's, probably the joke he laughed at the most when he was acting out the guy from the Honeymooners having sex. And he goes, humana, or something like that. I remember listening to that cassette with my father.
Yeah.
And him just dying laughing at that.
It's a different time, and you can't do this type of thing. And this is kind of brings me, full circle back to like how society is just less violent these days. Where, and one of the points they brought up was the Honeymooners, right? Where if you look at the Honeymooners, what is the recurring joke on that show?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Pow, Alice, right to the moon. Pow, right in the kisser.
Oh, he's gonna beat her up.
He's talking about beating up his wife.
Yeah.
Name one sitcom that makes jokes about spousal abuse.
You're right. Now you're only allowed to abuse women in bed.
In bed.
Yeah, like now they want to be choked and they want to be, like slapped and all this other kind of crazy
Right.
stuff. It's crazy how that's shifted.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. Like society is less violent these days. It's more tolerant of different types of people. It's, less homophobic.
Yeah.
It's less just phobic in general.
Yeah.
It's less racist. It's less everything. People will say that it's worse than ever because we're seeing more imagery of it. But the reality, when you look at the numbers...
They'll also say that because they profit off of that.
Yeah.
They're selling that.
They're selling that.
Yeah.
But if you look at as a whole...
Yeah.
Like, one of the most violent centuries of the last 2,000 years was the 19th century. Or
Yeah.
the 20th century because the world wars that happened.
Sure.
But I very much doubt, even though we're at the beginning of the 21st century, I very much doubt the 21st century will be filled with millions of people dying in wars, like on a consistent basis, like it was in the 19th.
No, I mean, if we have another world war, everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead.
Technology got too good.
Technology got too good.
Yeah. That's why we fight these wars in Syria. It's like if America goes to war with Russia, we're all dead.
Yeah.
So we got to let these poor fucking people in Syria fight each other with shittier weapons.
Yeah.
Because we got beef.
Gas attacks and whatever the fuck
It's
else.
just, that's what happened. That's the problem with nuclear weapons in a way is now you got these poor people in poor countries suffering, fighting wars they don't even fucking care about. We're convincing them to care about it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's what it is.
Anyway, so you said you wanted to finish by saying the N word?
No,
What,
I did not.
You didn't say that?
I did not say
you weren't
that.
saying that? So, I thought you said you wanted to finish
But
it.
you don't think Bill Maher should have been fired?
No. I don't think he should have been fired.
Okay.
Because I judge a man or a woman based on the extent of their actions. One, I don't think this act was malicious. Put it this way. If Bill Maher went on and said that word, meaning to offend people with no humor, and said, this is how I feel about black people, yeah, fire his ass for it. Because it's a huge turn on who he is and who he's shown himself to be on that show, right? But I think that he made a mistake, and I'm willing to forgive people for their mistakes. Now, it's not for me to really forgive because he's not offending me in the same way that he would be offending a black person that is incredibly triggered by that word. That being said, as a comedian, I support going for jokes. I'm going to say things that are going to offend people. I do it every single night on stage. So if I come out and I start criticizing people for offending people, then I'm a hypocrite. So I got to leave that door open. This is my job. This is what we do for a living. And I'm going to fuck up. He's going to fuck up. I know I'm not going to fuck up saying that word, but I'm going to fuck up saying some joke, and it could be about, who knows, blonde women. And all of a sudden they're going to be furious at me because I made fun of blonde women, and they were going to feel really triggered at this, that, whatever. We laugh, but you'd be surprised what people get upset at me on the internet for.
Oh, I mean, people are mad at me.
I said
every
porn
single day.
wasn't empowering for women, and a bunch of porn stars started getting furious at me. How dare you say it's so empowering for me?
Really? You were getting attacked by porn stars?
Bro, B-list porn stars were coming at me. I love
As opposed to A-list porn stars.
The A-list porn stars, at least we could get it popping, we talk about it. But like, you know, these girls out here talking about how porn is empowering us. I don't understand how like 4 dudes coming on you is empowering, but hey, it is what it is. If that's, you know, all I'm saying, you could do it. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I don't find it empowering. Let's not, you know, let's be very real. I don't think a girl gets super soaked by like 6 guys, and as she's wiping off goes, I feel empowered today.
I feel mighty.
I feel like I could take on the world. I feel like Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? So people are going to get offended by different things. You and I, maybe because we have, you know, maybe because we're much more close with black people, and we have a lot of black friends, and maybe we're more sensitive to this word than some people are. And maybe we're less sensitive to the porn star plate. I don't got a lot of porn star friends. Maybe if I did, I would be equally as offended as them. You know what I mean? So maybe you, like, I understand your sensitivity is because you probably know how that word makes people feel. You've probably seen someone say that word, you know what I mean, to one of your black friends. So it's like, I get where your sensitivity is coming from, but I'm a stand-up comedian, and I understand him as a stand-up comedian. He tried to go for a joke, and it failed, and I've gone for jokes and had them fail too. You know, I just don't, if I felt the intent was malicious, I'd be with you. I don't feel like his intent is malicious.
I just feel that if you're talking about anybody, Bill Maher knows better. You know, this is not somebody that doesn't know what a house N-word is or a field N-word and the ugly history behind this type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't, you know, is he making like gas chamber jokes?
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think he is. I think
is?
he's making jokes about everybody. Yeah, he's making jokes about religions. He's doing everything every single night. But I also think the joke was meant to be self-deprecating, right? The joke was like, and Charlemagne said this on the podcast, but he was like, you could fix that joke easily without saying the N-word, and it's funny. You could be like, listen, if we were slaves, I'd be in the house. Now you don't say the joke, and you're basically saying, look, my body's not built for hard labor. Look at me, I'm 5'6". I'm, you know, you're basically, if the joke
it would have gone over everyone's head because he's, yeah. I mean,
maybe it would have gone up, but like you and I, we look at it and we'd be like, I get what he was trying to say here. You know, I understand the point of here, and that's going to be way funnier than if he says that word which triggers people, right?
Yeah.
Because then he's just teasing himself. He's basically saying, look, I'm a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, which is kind of what he was trying to say, but
He just went for that shit.
To say it that way.
Listen.
And you know something, at the end of the day,
You don't got to dunk it every time, bro. Sometimes you
walked,
lay it up.
Listen, nothing happened to him. He still has a show on HBO. You know, it kind of bothered me how the audience kind of laughed and applauded. That kind of irked me. You know, a lot of times when this type of thing happens, nothing really happens. Like, remember when that one guy called black women like nappy-headed hoes and that type of thing? Don Imus, yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, nothing really happens. And I think, oh yeah, and when the audience laughed and applauded, And you could tell there was all white people in the audience. So there's no possible way like a bunch of black people in the audience would have applauded that shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I think it just shows that America's a little more racist than we give it credit for. You know?
I think you're trying to step on his back to make yourself look like you're some like progressive, open-minded. I love black people. I'll do everything for black. Because you could make an argument what you do is way more detrimental to black people than him saying that word.
You can say that.
Actually, I think it is. To be honest, if you're only showcasing like the worst stereotypes of black people,
Which I don't, but
constantly, or like the majority of the stuff,
Which it isn't. But
absolutely. If we go through what's happening, we're gonna see, videos of some kid, spending way too much money on a fucking stupid car or something like that. We're gonna see
We don't show videos
beefs.
of
We're gonna
cars
see
and whatever else. But okay.
But look, you can say no, but we know what time it is. You know what I mean? So that being said, you could make the argument that what you're doing is way more detrimental than him saying that joke. And for the most time, him putting uplifting black citizens on his show and showing successful black people
I've
and
had some
intellectuals.
I have had some of the same people he's done on shows. I've had Killer Mike on my show.
Absolutely.
Multiple times.
Sure.
I don't know if David Banner's been on a show, but, I've had
He
David
should go
Banner.
on the show.
Yeah, he should.
Dave's brilliant.
He probably won't. You know what I mean? But
But meaning like,
I've had very, very smart.
I'm not saying you haven't.
Very
there are
smart,
definitely outliers.
successful people.
Definitely are. But you've also had a lot of, like
best-selling authors.
Sure.
Successful business
now
people.
you're justifying it. All I'm saying,
I'm not justifying. It's just that it is what it is.
Your hood tales pop off more. The tales about the gunshot, the tales about killings, the tales about drug stories,
Right.
tales
but
about
that's
beefs,
not.
that kind
But
of
that's
shit.
what the viewers are drawn to. You see what I'm saying?
But you make the choice. You curate it. All I'm saying is if he said the same thing you just said right now, he's like, listen, I say the N-word because that's what the viewers are drawn to. Is that an excuse that you're okay with?
That's not what I'm saying. So we actually put out a balanced amount of material, but what happens is the more salacious stuff ends up getting way more views, and it eclipses some of the more positive stuff we do. We'll have an interview, and as you know,
What's the last positive one?
We interview music artists about music all the time, but when we
What's the last positive one you could think about?
David Banner.
Okay. What was he talking about?
He was talking about racism. He was talking about uplifting people. He was talking about, being a business person. A lot of stuff like that. Brother Polite, Lord Jamar. These are all, and Lord Jamar is probably my most common guest ever.
Sure, but Jamar has some questionable views on I think it's homosexuality.
Yeah.
So you're not really putting...
Everyone has questionable views about something. But
but
ultimately,
that's not a justification.
Ultimately, if you look at...
So then,
you're
justifying Lord Jamar, but you're not justifying Bill. So you got a guy coming out here saying blatantly homophobic things, but you're going, everybody got questionable views about whatever, but you're saying a guy should be fired because of saying the N-word in a joke. I don't think you're being intellectually consistent. So that's what I'm saying is like, if we're really gonna weigh the difference between like the millions of views that your stuff has gotten, like your shit gets way more views than Bill's. If you actually want to go view for view, you don't have
more people watch VladTV than Bill Maher.
Absolutely. In terms of total views of the things that you've got, without a doubt.
But every show he gets millions of views.
Few million.
Few million.
I
do a few million in a couple of days.
So that's what I'm saying. And you got multiple videos going out. So what I'm saying, if we want to talk about the negative influence of something like that and of raw negativity, your raw negativity impact is way higher than his. So I personally don't even think you're in a position to criticize him.
The thing is that these stories and some of these stories that are negative, we're not creating these stories. These stories already exist.
But you're choosing.
Well, hold on. These stories exist and are already being told. And we feel that we should be the one to tell these stories. And we should be the one to frame them. And if you listen to a lot of these interviews, like, yes, the titles may sound salacious and everything else like that. But when you actually listen to me talking to some of these people, like, we don't sensationalize the stuff that this person talks about when it's negative. We talked about, yes, this person did this shooting, this person did this, this killing, this person went to jail, and here's the ramifications of doing all this, and here's why you don't want to do it, and here's these former drug dealers that ended up fucking up their whole lives. Here's Chi Ali, who talked about killing his baby mother's brother and how he fucked up his whole life over that, and how to this day he, his family members, it's very hard to have a family with a situation like this, and how he was on the run and what he had to go through and all that. These aren't sensationalized. This is not like, a Bruce Willis film where he's shooting shit out and whatever else. Like, this is real life, and this is, and when a person watches this stuff and, doesn't just go in the title and start to comment, which I feel most people do, but actually sits there and watches it, they're going to say, this is why I don't want to do it. Like, for example, when I watched the movie American Me, at that point in my childhood, I decided I'm never going to prison. I did not want to be gang raped by a bunch of gang members in prison.
There's a certain amount of people going to see that, but then there's a certain amount of kids who want to end up on VladTV, and the only things they see on VladTV are the most popular ones, and the most popular ones are talking about some hood shit, so they're like, yo, I'm going to do some hood shit. Just like there's a certain amount of kids that want to be rappers, and they see the popular rappers got face tattoos, so they go, you know what, I'm going to get a face tattoo.
Exactly.
And you ain't going to be a rapper most likely.
You're going to be 50 years old, working
at
Walmart.
fucking Burger King.
I swear to God, I went to the Jack in the Box by my house in Calabasas.
Yeah.
And there was a dude with a tattoo.
Now you guys know where he lives.
Calabasas,
by
baby.
the Jack in the Box.
And this dude had a face tattoo like on his chin, like the top part of his chin going across his chin.
Yeah.
And he's taking my order of Jack in the Box, and I'm looking at him going like,
you're exactly where you need to be.
Well, I was just like, this is not what you thought about when you got this face tattoo.
Nah, he thought he was gonna be rapping. You know what I mean?
Or he's a gangster or something. Like, I don't know, it was a Spanish dude.
Well,
like,
if he was a gangster and now he's working at Jack in the Box, I would commend him for that shit.
Well, yeah, because
he left that life.
No, and I didn't look at it this type of way, but I was definitely looking at his tattoo, trying to figure out what it read, because it was some letters and so forth. And it's like, yo, most of y'all who are getting these face tattoos are gonna have to get a job at one point. And those face tattoos are gonna fuck up your prospects.
Hell yeah. I never seen a manager with face tattoos.
No.
I seen a fry guy.
Yeah.
So, hey, but I think what you should do is more diversity in content. I think you need more uplifting stuff.
Okay.
And I think you'd be surprised, bro. There are internet companies. I think now this is like the biggest Facebook video provider. And most of their stuff is kind of like uplifting and positive kind of things like that. And I think if you have more diversity of content like that, I think, one, you're going to see, because you already have devout followers, you already have people that fuck with it, but not only are you going to see more kids influenced to do positive stuff to get on an outlet like Vlad, but you're also going to see other people go, wow, Vlad is for the culture in more than one way.
Yeah.
He's not just for one aspect of the culture, he's for all aspects of what's going on here. And I think you're going to get a lot more love and equity for showcasing that shit, man.
I agree.
So let's do it. More positive shit.
More positive shit.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Andrew Schulz.
There
Always
it
a
is.
pleasure.